Before we start the movie, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video so you can receive all the new content we offer. Imagine waking up to find yourself trapped in a remote countryside village, only to discover that the only person who understands you and fills the void in your life is your 65-year-old neighbor. A strange and unexpected story, isn't it? Our story begins with a young man named Myron, whose life was limited to staying up late, having fun, and spending time with his companions. His parents were not satisfied with his reckless lifestyle, so they made a decisive decision to move him to a remote house in the countryside, aiming to keep him completely away from the hustle and bustle of the city. From the very first day of their arrival, the father Chris and the mother Teresa sat down with Myron to offer advice and guidance so that he could spend the summer vacation in this quiet place without feeling bored, but it was not easy for him at all. One morning, while Myron was sitting alone in front of the house, his neighbor Florence called out to him. She is a 65-year-old woman who had spent her entire life living in this village. They got to know each other, and Florence made a simple request, asking him to help her clean and arrange her small house garden. After finishing the work, she invited him to have a cold drink in a quiet setting, and they began to converse for a long time. This conversation made him see things from a completely different perspective, and he began to think seriously about his future and arrange his priorities. From that moment on, Myron and Florence's meetings became noticeably frequent, and they began meeting constantly. They started spending long hours together, having dinner and sharing secrets and stories. On one warm and beautiful night, Florence asked Myron to dance and enjoy the magic of the place until late. Due to extreme fatigue and fun, sleep overcame him and he fell asleep in her living room. The relationship between the young man and the old woman began to take another turn and develop day by day. They started talking about deep subjects regarding their wishes and personal experiences. Amidst these revelations, they discovered something amazing, the existence of common grounds that shocked them. Myron is lost, does not know what he wants from life, and feels a deadly boredom, while at the same time, Florence misses the vitality of her youth and bygone days. It was not limited to meetings inside the house only, they also began going out together publicly, shopping in malls and wandering the city streets. They enjoyed very simple details that filled their hearts with immense happiness. This closeness increased to the extent that anyone who saw them would think they were officially in a relationship, without caring about others' opinions. On the other hand, the father and mother were living in great confusion and anxiety due to the sudden change in their son's behavior. Myron would speak with total confidence, saying, "I am very serious about my relationship." One day, while the mother was driving her car, her eyes happened to fall upon Myron and Florence sitting together to eat at a restaurant. She was deeply shocked and rushed back home to tell her husband everything. That same night, the father, Chris, went to search for his son at Florence's house. Upon his arrival, he found him sitting with her, extremely happy. Chris flew into a rage and shouted at Myron, demanding him to return immediately, but the son rebelled and refused to obey. This problem escalated to the point that it caused a violent fight and a heated discussion between Chris and his wife, Teresa. They sat thinking of a way to find a way out of this complex crisis. The next morning, the parents returned to Florence's house, and with utmost harshness and severity, they asked her to stay away from Myron and cut off her relationship with him completely. Florence tried to defend herself, explaining that it started as an innocent friendship, but the days made them understand each other because both feel the same pain and loneliness and need someone to listen to their stories. However, this justification did not work with Chris, who threatened her in a stern tone against the consequences of approaching Myron again under any circumstances. Despite all the warnings, Myron did not listen to the orders and continued to visit Florence in secret. On one occasion, the father and mother suddenly burst into Florence's house and found their son Myron sitting inside with her. Chris began threatening Myron and warning him of the consequences of his actions, asking him mockingly, "How will you be able to look into your friend's eyes and tell them who this is, and what this lady is even called in your life in the first place?" But Myron shocked them when he said in a confident and bold voice, "I have found the true love I was searching for." Upon their return home, Chris turned the place into a prison and decided to detain Myron and prevent him from going out to ensure he wouldn't see Florence. Naturally, Myron flew into a rage and felt suffocated because his parents were treating him like a bound prisoner. Therefore, he began planning a crazy idea to return to Florence secretly and without their knowledge. He sneaked into the warehouse unnoticed, brought some tools, and began digging a secret tunnel inside his room's wall. The work was going very slowly and with extreme caution so as not to make any sound that might arouse Chris and Teresa's suspicions. Myron continued digging without despair or boredom, with his sole goal being to open a direct path toward his beloved's house. On the other hand, Florence was feeling a great longing and missing Myron's presence, so she spent her day drawing the features of his face to comfort herself and keep their memories alive and close to her heart. Finally, the effort paid off after several grueling days, and Myron was able to tear down the last wall to open the tunnel directly to Florence's house. They met again, their joy was overwhelming, and they immediately began thinking and arranging a plan on how to meet in secret without Chris and Teresa noticing any strange movement. But this secret did not last long, unfortunately. One day, while the family was packing their bags to travel out of town, Chris went down to the basement and noticed a huge mound of accumulated dirt in a suspicious manner. Doubt crept into him, and he began searching the place thoroughly until his eyes finally fell on the secret tunnel his son had dug. Chris did not hesitate for a moment. He entered the tunnel and walked through it until he found himself emerging in the middle of Florence's living room. This scene confirmed to the father beyond any doubt that his son's relationship with the old lady had crossed all boundaries and had become much bigger than just a passing friendship. As the story nears its end, we see Myron and Florence formulating a tight plan to escape and leave the city together, completely indifferent to the rejection and violent pressure from everyone around them. The two chose to hold on to their feelings, which they consider true love, even if the consequences were catastrophic and devastating to their lives. If you liked the movie, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video so you can receive all that is new.